Hello, dear listener. Welcome to Calm Cloud Chronicles, where imagination drifts and stories unfold. Sit back, relax, and let the journey begin. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more soothing tales. The Whispering Abyss. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the ocean in hues of gold and crimson, Mira stood at the edge of the shore, her toes sinking into the cool, wet sand. The gentle whispers of the waves called to her, a melody only she could hear. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, the ocean welcoming her like an old friend. The water was warm, wrapping around her like a silken cloak. As Mira swam deeper, the sunlight faded, replaced by the soft glow of luminescent corals and schools of shimmering fish. The world beneath the waves was alive, more vibrant and magical than she had ever imagined. Ahead, a curious seahorse with scales that glowed faintly blue circled around her, its tiny eyes filled with wonder. Mira followed it, her curiosity piqued. The seahorse led her past swaying kelp forests and intricate rock formations, where playful dolphins danced in spirals, their laughter echoing through the water. Then, she saw it, a hidden cavern, its entrance guarded by cascading bubbles that sparkled like diamonds. The seahorse paused, looking back at her as if inviting her to enter. Mira hesitated for a moment but felt the ocean's whispers urging her forward. Inside the cavern, the walls glowed with ethereal patterns, like constellations painted in liquid light. At the center of the space floated a mysterious orb, pulsating gently with a soft, golden light. Mira felt drawn to it, her heart swelling with a sense of peace and wonder. As she reached out and touched the orb, the cavern transformed. The walls became mirrors of the ocean outside, showing scenes of majestic whales gliding gracefully, manta rays weaving through the water, and coral gardens blooming in every color imaginable. Mira closed her eyes, letting the ocean's whispers surround her. In this tranquil moment, she felt connected to something greater, a harmony that bound the waves, the creatures, and herself together. When she finally left the cavern, the seahorse gave her a final, twinkling look before swimming away. Mira returned to the shore, the moonlight illuminating her path. Though the adventure was over, the whispers of the ocean remained with her, a gentle reminder of the magic that lay beneath the waves. As Mira walked along the moonlit shore, the whispers of the ocean still lingered in her mind like a secret melody. She felt different, calmer, more connected to the world around her. Yet, a subtle curiosity stirred within her heart. What had the glowing orb truly been, and why had the ocean chosen her to see it? That night, as she drifted into sleep, Her dreams were filled with visions of the underwater cavern. But something was different. This time, the orb's golden light transformed into a series of swirling images, memories of the ocean itself. She saw ancient ships resting peacefully on the seafloor, their wooden hulls embraced by coral. She saw mighty sea creatures from eras long past, gliding through infinite depths. The ocean's history unfolded before her, and Mira realized the orb was no ordinary treasure, it was a keeper of memories. When she awoke, the sun was rising, casting a soft glow over the waves. The seahorse from her adventure was waiting at the water's edge, as if it had been expecting her. Without hesitation, Mira waded into the surf and let the ocean envelop her once more. This time, the journey was even more extraordinary. The seahorse led her to an underwater temple, its grand columns wrapped in seaweed and adorned with glowing shells. Inside, Mira was greeted by a council of serene sea turtles, their ancient eyes filled with wisdom. They spoke not with words, but through feelings and images that echoed in her mind. "The ocean has chosen you," one of the turtles conveyed. "The orb entrusted its memories to you because you have a heart that listens, a soul that understands. But with this gift comes a responsibility. You are now a guardian of the sea." Mira felt a surge of awe and humility. She had always loved the ocean, but now she understood its fragility and its need for protection. The council gifted her a small pearl, its surface shimmering with the same golden light as the orb. "This will guide you," they said. "Whenever you need to hear the ocean's whispers, hold it close." As Mira swam back to the shore, the world above seemed brighter, more vibrant. She knew her life had changed forever. From that day on, she dedicated herself to the ocean, studying its secrets, protecting its creatures, and sharing its magic with others. And though the whispers of the waves grew fainter as she grew older, she knew the ocean's memory lived on in her heart, as eternal as the tides. As the years passed, Mira's bond with the ocean grew stronger, and her role as its guardian became intertwined with her very essence. She traveled to faraway shores, exploring new waters and learning from the ocean's infinite variety. In every corner of the world, she found marvels: glacial fjords where icy waters glimmered like crystal, tropical lagoons alive with colors, and deep abyssal trenches that held mysteries only the ocean knew. But the pearl she carried always led her to those in need. One day, while diving in a reef off a distant island, Mira discovered a patch of corals that had faded to gray, their vibrant colors lost to pollution. The fish had fled, the ecosystem a shadow of its former self. Mira held the pearl close, and its golden light pulsed softly. She felt the ocean's sadness and knew what she had to do. She worked tirelessly, rallying locals, scientists, and dreamers alike to restore the reef. Together, they planted new corals, cleaned the waters, and protected the area from harm. Over time, the reef came back to life. The fish returned, the coral began to glow once more, and the whispers of the ocean sang a song of hope. On another journey, Mira encountered a young boy named Luca. He had always loved the sea but feared its vastness. Mira shared stories of her adventures and the magical creatures she had met. She told him about the glowing orb, the council of turtles, and the pearl that guided her. Luca's fear turned to fascination, and soon he became Mira's eager apprentice in understanding and protecting the ocean. As Mira grew older, she realized her time as guardian was nearing its end. But she wasn't sad. The ocean had always been eternal, and she knew others would carry on its song. One day, she handed the pearl to Luca, its light now reflecting his own determination and wonder. "The ocean's whispers are yours to listen to now," she said, her voice steady and full of warmth. Years later, Luca stood at the edge of the shore, much like Mira had once done. He carried the pearl close to his heart, its glow guiding him toward new adventures and challenges. Mira's legacy lived on, not just in Luca, but in every ripple of the ocean she had touched, every life she had inspired to protect its beauty and mysteries. And as Mira gazed at the horizon one last time, the waves whispered their eternal gratitude, carrying her story across the seas and into the hearts of all who listened. As Luca took on the mantle of guardian, his connection to the ocean deepened with every passing day. The pearl's light guided him to places of wonder and significance, hidden lagoons untouched by time, sea caves filled with ancient carvings, and reefs that sang a melody only he could hear. He felt the weight of responsibility, but it was balanced by a profound joy in protecting and understanding the vast, mysterious ocean. One evening, while exploring the edges of a sprawling kelp forest, Luca stumbled upon a strange sight, a glowing jellyfish, unlike any he had ever seen. Its tentacles shimmered with colors that seemed to shift and dance, forming patterns that told a story. As Luca approached, the jellyfish released a gentle pulse of light, illuminating the water around it. The pearl in Luca's hand responded, glowing softly as if communicating with the creature. In an instant, Luca saw images in his mind, a sunken city deep beneath the waves, its spires and domes covered in coral and sea life. The jellyfish seemed to be showing him the way. Without hesitation, Luca followed the jellyfish, diving deeper than he had ever dared. The water grew cooler, and the sunlight above faded into a distant memory. But the pearl and the jellyfish guided him, their combined glow lighting the path ahead. At last, he saw it, the sunken city, a marvel of ancient architecture now embraced by the ocean's embrace. Towers of stone reached skyward, adorned with spirals of coral and schools of colorful fish. The city seemed alive, its presence both serene and awe-inspiring. As Luca explored the city, he discovered inscriptions carved into the walls, stories of a civilization that had lived in harmony with the ocean, treating it not as a resource but as a partner. They had understood the ocean's whispers, just as Luca now did. But their time had passed, leaving only memories and lessons for those who came after. Among the ruins, Luca found a chamber filled with relics, ornate shells, shimmering pearls, and intricate carvings. At the center of the chamber was a second pearl, larger and more radiant than the one he carried. When Luca touched it, he felt a surge of wisdom and understanding. The new pearl carried the collective knowledge of the ancient civilization, a gift now entrusted to him. Emerging from the depths, Luca knew his mission had expanded. He would not only protect the ocean but also share its stories, teaching others to respect and cherish its wonders. The ocean had always been eternal, and now Luca was part of its legacy, a keeper of both its whispers and its lessons. And so, the journey continued, with Luca venturing to new shores and waters, carrying the pearls and the stories they held. The ocean's song grew louder with each step he took, reminding the world of the beauty and magic that lay beneath the waves. As Luca embraced his expanded mission, he began to notice the subtle ways the ocean communicated its needs. The pearl he carried became a bridge between him and the sea, showing him not just the beauty but also the challenges it faced. Pollution, overfishing, and climate change whispered through the waves, urging him to act. One day, while sailing across a distant stretch of ocean, Luca encountered a vast patch of water choked with debris. It was a haunting sight, the remains of humanity's negligence floating atop the waves. The pearl glowed faintly in his hand, urging him to stop and listen. Luca felt the ocean's sorrow, but also its resilience. It was as if the sea was telling him, there is still hope. Determined to make a difference, Luca began rallying people from coastal communities, scientists, and adventurers he had met on his journeys. Together, they formed a global initiative dedicated to cleaning the oceans and protecting marine life. They named it the Guardians of the Deep, a tribute to the ancient wisdom that Luca had discovered in the sunken city. The Guardians worked tirelessly, pulling countless tons of debris from the water, establishing protected marine reserves, and educating communities about sustainable living. Luca often shared the stories of the ocean, the glowing orb, the ancient city, and the Council of Turtles. His tales inspired others to see the ocean not as a resource to be exploited but as a partner to be cherished. As the Guardians' efforts grew, the ocean began to show its gratitude in small but significant ways. Corals that had been bleached white started to regain their color. Fish returned to areas where they had long vanished. Even the waves seemed to dance more joyfully, their whispers carrying a melody of renewal. One evening, as Luca stood on the deck of a ship overlooking the open sea, the pearl in his hand began to glow more brightly than ever before. He felt a wave of warmth and understanding wash over him. The pearl was passing on a message: the ocean thanks you, but your journey is far from over. There is always more to protect, more to learn, and more to share. In that moment, Luca realized that the ocean's story was endless, and so was his role as its guardian. With each passing day, he would continue to listen, to act, and to inspire others to join the cause. The ocean's song was a reminder that even the smallest actions, when united, could create ripples of change that echoed across the world. And so, Luca's adventure continued, not as a solitary journey but as a collective mission. The ocean's whispers carried his story to others, igniting a spark of hope and responsibility in every heart it touched. As the guardians of the deep grew, their efforts began reaching far beyond the seas. Luca inspired people to view the planet as a whole, an interconnected system where every action affected the ocean. Communities began planting trees, reducing waste, and shifting to renewable energy, understanding that every ripple of change eventually touched the waves. But Luca's connection to the ocean remained unique. One day, while exploring a remote archipelago, he discovered an untouched lagoon surrounded by towering cliffs. As he swam through the clear waters, the pearl began to glow faintly, as if sensing something extraordinary. Luca followed the light, weaving through underwater tunnels until he emerged in a hidden chamber. The chamber was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its walls were lined with shimmering crystals, and at its center stood a colossal statue, a figure holding a pearl similar to Luca's, but radiating a dazzling light. The statue seemed ancient, its features worn yet proud, as though it had stood guard for countless centuries. As Luca approached, the pearl in his hand began to resonate, its light merging with the glow of the statue's pearl. Suddenly, a voice filled the chamber, not words, but feelings and images, as the ocean had always communicated. It was a message from the ancient civilization, a final gift of knowledge. The voice conveyed the tale of the first guardians, a people who had once lived in harmony with the ocean, using the pearls to guide their lives and protect the seas. They had passed their wisdom to the ocean itself, entrusting it to safeguard their legacy. Luca realized that the pearls were more than just tools. They were symbols of the eternal bond between humanity and the sea. The chamber's light intensified, filling Luca with a profound sense of purpose. He saw visions of a future where the ocean thrived, its beauty restored and its creatures safe. He saw people working together to protect the planet, inspired by the stories and wisdom of the ocean. And he saw himself as a beacon of hope, carrying the pearl's message to the world. When Luca emerged from the chamber, he felt renewed. The pearl in his hand now glowed brighter than ever, as if it had been infused with the wisdom of the first guardians. The ocean's whispers became clearer, guiding him to new challenges and new opportunities to inspire change. From that day forward, Luca's mission expanded yet again. He traveled the world, sharing the pearl's message and the ocean's stories with everyone he met. His tales brought people together, sparking movements to protect the seas and cherish their beauty. And though the journey was never easy, Luca knew that every step he took brought the world closer to the harmony the first guardians had envisioned. As Luca's journey continued, the Guardians of the Deep became a worldwide movement, uniting people from every corner of the planet. Their mission wasn't just to protect the ocean, it was to inspire a deeper connection with nature itself. Luca led efforts to create underwater sanctuaries, where marine life could thrive undisturbed, and coral gardens became symbols of hope, transforming barren seascapes into vibrant ecosystems. One day, the Pearl led Luca to a remote island that had long been shrouded in mystery. Local legends spoke of an ancient sea spirit that guarded the island, its presence felt in the rhythmic tides and the shimmering waves. The island's beaches were untouched, its waters crystal clear, and Luca felt the ocean's whispers growing louder as he approached. Guided by the Pearl, Luca ventured into the heart of the island, a hidden lagoon surrounded by towering cliffs. The water there seemed to glow, reflecting the light of the stars above. As Luca swam through the lagoon, he noticed intricate carvings on the rocks, depicting scenes of harmony between humans and the ocean. It was as if the island had once been home to a people who understood the true balance between land and sea. At the center of the lagoon, Luca found something extraordinary, a pedestal made of coral, holding a third pearl. Unlike the others, this pearl emitted a soft, multicolored glow, shifting between hues like the waves themselves. As Luca touched it, the pearl in his hand resonated, and he felt an overwhelming surge of energy and understanding. This new pearl carried a message, not just from the ocean, but from the earth as a whole. It showed Luca visions of interconnected ecosystems, revealing how the health of forests, rivers, and mountains impacted the seas. Luca realized that the ocean could not thrive on its own. It was part of a larger, fragile system that required care and balance. Returning to the Guardians, Luca shared the wisdom of the third pearl. Their mission expanded once more, incorporating efforts to protect the planet as a whole. The Guardians planted forests, restored wetlands, and advocated for sustainable practices that benefited both land and sea. The movement grew stronger, united by the understanding that every action, no matter how small, could create ripples of change. And through it all, the pearls continued to guide Luca, whispering stories of the Earth's past and possibilities for its future. As he stood on the shores of the island, watching the waves dance under the moonlight, he knew that his journey would never truly end. Luca's legacy was woven into the fabric of the planet itself, a reminder that humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to listen, to learn, and to protect. The ocean, eternal and ever-changing, carried Luca's story across its waves, inspiring generations to come. And as new guardians emerged, each carrying their own pearls and stories, Luca's name became synonymous with hope, a beacon for all who sought to protect the world's beauty and wonder. Luca's journey expanded beyond what he could have imagined, as the Guardians of the Deep continued to grow into a global force for change. Their mission inspired people not only to act but to listen, to the ocean, to nature, and to each other. Luca began seeking out new ways to amplify the voices of those who understood the delicate balance between humanity and the natural world. One day, the Pearl led Luca to the Arctic, a stark and beautiful realm where icy waters stretched endlessly under the pale sunlight. The ocean there spoke in whispers colder than he had ever felt, its voice carrying stories of resilience and warnings of change. As Luca ventured into the frigid waters, he was guided to an iceberg marked with peculiar symbols, faintly glowing in the twilight. Curious and cautious, Luca climbed onto the iceberg and discovered a small hollow carved into its surface. At the center lay another pearl, this one encased in a crystalline shell that shimmered like frost. When Luca touched it, the pearl in his hand resonated, and he felt a flood of memories, the voices of creatures that had adapted to survive in this harsh environment, and images of landscapes slowly changing under the weight of warming seas. The Arctic Pearl conveyed a critical message: the balance of the world was tipping, and the ocean's icy realms were among the most vulnerable. Luca saw visions of shrinking glaciers, displaced wildlife, and rising waters that threatened coastal communities. But alongside the warnings, the Pearl also showed hope, the strength of those working to combat climate change and preserve these fragile ecosystems. Armed with this new understanding, Luca began collaborating with Arctic researchers and indigenous communities who held deep knowledge of the frozen seas. Together, they worked to protect the region, monitoring its waters, advocating for sustainable policies, and sharing stories of its beauty and importance. Luca saw firsthand the interconnectedness of all life and how the struggles of one region echoed across the world. The Arctic Pearl's wisdom became a cornerstone of Luca's mission. He shared its message with the Guardians of the Deep, inspiring renewed efforts to address global warming and reduce humanity's impact on the planet. The Guardians expanded their work, advocating for cleaner energy, reducing emissions, and restoring balance to ecosystems that had been pushed to their limits. Through it all, Luca remained guided by the pearls and the ocean's whispers. Each new discovery deepened his resolve, and every challenge strengthened his commitment to the Earth's future. The pearls had shown him the power of harmony, and Luca dedicated his life to ensuring that humanity could live in balance with the world it shared. And as the waves carried his story across the globe, Luca's name became more than just a symbol of hope. It became a rallying cry for change, a reminder that even the smallest actions could ripple into something extraordinary. The ocean's song continued, eternal and ever-changing, weaving Luca's legacy into the fabric of the world. Luca's journey began to take on an almost mythic quality, as his work reached every corner of the earth. The pearls he carried became symbols of hope, their glow inspiring countless others to join the Guardian's mission. Each pearl contained wisdom, stories, and guidance, yet Luca felt there was still one missing, a final piece to complete the tapestry of their message. One evening, while gazing at the horizon from a quiet beach, Luca felt a shift in the pearl's glow. The light pulsed with an urgency he hadn't felt before, and the ocean's whispers seemed to gather strength, forming a single word in his mind: return. The pearl guided him back to the very place where his journey had begun, the hidden cavern where he first found the glowing orb. The journey felt both familiar and new, as if the ocean itself had been reshaped by his efforts. When he arrived at the cavern, it seemed to welcome him, its walls glowing more brightly than ever before. At the center of the chamber floated the orb, still pulsating with its golden light. But this time, Luca noticed something he hadn't seen before: a smaller, darkened sphere hidden in the shadows behind the orb. As he approached, the pearls in his hands resonated, their light converging to awaken the dormant sphere. The dark sphere came to life, its surface shimmering with an intricate dance of light and shadow. Luca reached out, and as he touched it, a wave of emotion washed over him, a deep sense of unity, not just with the ocean, but with the entire planet and all its inhabitants. The sphere, he realized, represented balance, the harmony of light and shadow, creation and destruction, growth and renewal. Through the sphere, Luca understood that the world's greatest challenges were also its greatest opportunities. The same forces that could harm the planet could also heal it, if guided by wisdom and compassion. The sphere showed him visions of a future where humanity thrived alongside nature, not at its expense, a future made possible by the collective efforts of countless individuals working in harmony. When Luca emerged from the cavern, he carried the sphere alongside the pearls. Its presence seemed to amplify the pearls' glow, as if completing their story. Luca felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that his journey was not just about protecting the ocean, but about fostering balance in every aspect of life. With the sphere and pearls in hand, Luca's influence grew even stronger. The Guardians of the Deep became a global movement unlike any other, uniting people across cultures, generations, and backgrounds. Together, they worked to heal the planet, guided by the understanding that every action, no matter how small, contributed to the greater harmony of the world. And as Luca stood on the shores of a new dawn, the ocean's whispers carried a promise, a reminder that the journey of harmony and balance would continue, carried forward by all who listened to the waves, the earth, and each other. The legacy of the pearls would live on, eternal as the tides, boundless as the imagination of those who dared to dream of a better world. As Luca carried the glowing sphere and the pearls, his journey seemed to transcend time and space. The world began to shift around him, not physically, but in the hearts and minds of those who heard the stories. The guardians of the deep became a unifying symbol, their emblem, a wave encircling a pearl, recognized as a call to action and hope. But the ocean had one last secret to reveal. One moonlit night, as Luca stood on the deck of a ship sailing through uncharted waters, he felt an undeniable pull from the sphere. It glowed faintly, as though urging him to follow the tides. Luca closed his eyes, letting the whispers of the ocean guide him. The waves seemed to carry the ship with purpose, their rhythm steady and deliberate. After days of travel, Luca arrived at the heart of the Pacific, where the water seemed impossibly still, like a mirror reflecting the sky. In the distance, a faint shimmer caught his eye, an island rising from the horizon, surrounded by an iridescent mist. The pearls and sphere glowed in unison, their light pulsing with quiet excitement. Luca knew this was no ordinary place. As he approached the island, he saw that it was unlike any he had encountered before. Its shores were made of polished stones that sparkled like stars, and its trees bore leaves that shimmered in hues of silver and gold. The air was filled with a gentle hum, as though the island itself was alive with energy. At the center of the island stood a grand archway, its surface covered in ancient symbols that seemed to dance when viewed from different angles. Luca stepped through the archway and found himself in a vast, open space, a sanctuary where the ocean's whispers grew louder and clearer than ever before. In the sanctuary stood figures made of light, guardians from across time, each holding a pearl of their own. They were not just human, they were beings of every kind, representing the unity of all life connected by the ocean. They greeted Luca with warm smiles and gestures, their presence radiating wisdom and kindness. One of the guardians stepped forward, its form shifting like water, and spoke directly to Luca's heart. "You have carried the pearl's wisdom with courage and compassion. You have shared their stories and helped the world remember its bond with the sea. This place, the heart of the tides, is where the pearls were created, and it is where their power is renewed." The guardian extended its hand, and the glowing sphere in Luca's possession floated to meet it. The sphere rose into the air, joining the light of the sanctuary, and transformed into a constellation of shimmering points. The pearls in Luca's hands joined the constellation, their light merging with the others. Luca felt no loss, only peace. The pearls had served their purpose, and their light would now continue to guide the world from the heart of the tides. The sanctuary's energy surrounded him, filling him with the understanding that his journey was not ending, but evolving. He would remain a guardian, not through the pearls, but through the lessons they had imparted. As Luca left the island, its glow fading into the horizon, he carried with him a deep sense of fulfillment. The pearl's light now lived within him, and within all those who carried their message. The ocean's whispers remained, eternal and unbroken, reminding the world of its beauty, resilience, and the power of unity. And so, the story of Luca, the pearls, and the guardians of the deep became a legend, passed down through generations as a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the smallest ripple could grow into a wave of change. As Luca returned to his travels, carrying the wisdom of the heart of the tides within him, he found a new sense of clarity. The journey had shifted. It was no longer about finding treasures or pearls, but about cultivating the legacy they represented. Luca began focusing on storytelling, weaving the lessons of his adventures into tales that could resonate with everyone, from children to leaders. One evening, as Luca sat by a campfire on a distant shore, he began to share his stories with a group of listeners. There were young sailors eager to explore the seas, wise elders who had spent their lives protecting coastal lands, and curious travelers who had never seen the ocean up close. Luca spoke of the glowing orb, the council of sea turtles, the sunken city, the Arctic pearl, and the heart of the tides. His words painted vivid pictures, and his listeners could almost feel the ocean's whispers themselves. But Luca did not stop there. He began asking others to share their own stories, of their connections to the natural world, their hopes for the future, and the ways they had found harmony in their lives. The campfire became a circle of shared wisdom, a microcosm of the global unity Luca had always dreamed of. Over time, these gatherings grew larger, spreading across continents. Luca's listeners became storytellers themselves, carrying the messages of the ocean and the earth to new places. They built bridges between cultures, uniting people under a shared vision of hope and responsibility. The Guardians of the Deep evolved into a network of individuals and communities, each contributing their unique strengths to the collective mission. As Luca's life drew on, he found peace in the knowledge that his work was no longer his alone. The movement had taken on a life of its own, guided by the same wisdom and unity that the pearls had once embodied. Luca spent his final days near the ocean he loved, its waves lapping gently against the shore. The ocean's whispers, once faint and mysterious, now sang a clear and joyful song. When Luca passed, the ocean carried his story to the farthest reaches of the world. His name became a legend, and his message a guiding light. The Guardians continued to thrive, their work echoing the eternal promise of the pearls, that even in the face of challenges, unity and hope could create ripples of change. And so, Luca's legacy lived on, not as a singular hero, but as a spark that had ignited countless others. The ocean, eternal and ever-changing, remained a source of wonder and inspiration, its whispers reminding all who listened that the story of harmony and balance was one without end. Even as Luca's life became legend, the Guardians of the Deep carried forward the mantle of his vision, expanding their work to new frontiers. Inspired by Luca's stories and the Pearl's wisdom, the Guardians began blending tradition with innovation, applying cutting-edge technology to protect the natural world while preserving the cultural knowledge of those connected to it. In remote corners of the planet, they developed coral nurseries that floated like islands, each one teeming with life. They harnessed renewable energy to power underwater drones that cleaned debris without disturbing marine ecosystems. On land, they worked with architects and engineers to design cities that harmonized with the environment, reducing their impact on oceans and waterways. The Guardians also focused on education, ensuring that the next generation would understand the importance of balance and unity. Children who had never seen the ocean were given opportunities to explore its wonders, while others learned to plant trees, nurture rivers, and protect the skies. The Pearl's legacy lived on in these lessons, growing brighter with each shared story and act of care. One day, a young girl named Anya, standing at the edge of the ocean with her parents, gazed at the waves with a look of quiet determination. Her family had been moved by Luca's tales and had joined the Guardians years ago, working tirelessly to restore the damaged coastlines near their home. As Anya watched the horizon, she felt as though the ocean itself were speaking to her. When she dove into the waves, she discovered something unexpected, a shard of crystal that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Though it wasn't a pearl, the shard carried a light of its own, and Anya felt its resonance in her heart. She brought it to the Guardians, who marveled at its beauty and pondered its significance. The shard became a new symbol for the Guardians, representing the idea that the ocean's wisdom and treasures were endless, waiting to be discovered by those who listened. Anya grew up surrounded by this legacy, becoming a leader in her own right, guiding the Guardians into an age of even greater innovation and harmony. The shards, like the pearls before them, inspired new generations of storytellers, dreamers, and protectors. Each discovery carried with it a promise that humanity, when united by understanding and compassion, could achieve wonders beyond imagination. And though Luca's journey had ended, his spirit remained, carried in every wave and ripple of the ocean he loved. The Guardians continued to listen to the whispers of the tides, weaving their own stories into the eternal tapestry of the sea. The pearls and shards, symbols of unity and hope, guided them still. The ocean, timeless and boundless, carried these tales to every shore, reminding the world that the journey of harmony was never truly finished. It was an adventure without end. Anya's discovery of the shard marked the beginning of a new era for the Guardians of the Deep, a chapter full of innovation and exploration, driven by the next generation's unyielding curiosity and hope. The shards, like the pearls before them, seemed to have their own story to tell, carrying whispers of wisdom and secrets still waiting to be uncovered. As Anya grew older, she became known as a trailblazer, fearlessly venturing into unexplored territories both above and below the waves. With the shard guiding her, she embarked on a series of ambitious expeditions to uncover more about the ocean's mysterious gifts. One such expedition led her to a vast underwater canyon, a place where sunlight barely reached and where life thrived in forms that seemed almost otherworldly. Deep within the canyon, Anya and her team discovered towering crystal formations, each glowing faintly with the same shifting hues as the shard she carried. These crystals pulsed gently, as though alive, and emitted soft vibrations that resonated in the water. Anya realized that the shards and crystals were connected, their combined energy forming a network of light and knowledge that spanned the ocean's depths. The Guardians began studying the crystals, learning to interpret their vibrations and uncover the stories they held. They found echoes of ancient civilizations that had lived in harmony with the ocean, as well as messages of caution and hope for the future. The crystals became a vital resource, not only for understanding the past but for guiding humanity toward a sustainable and unified future. Under Anya's leadership, the Guardians expanded their efforts to protect these crystal networks, treating them as sacred beacons of wisdom. The movement gained momentum, attracting scientists, conservationists, artists, and dreamers from around the world. The Guardians believed that the crystals and shards carried a universal message, a call to listen, to protect, and to unite. One day, while exploring an uncharted region of the Pacific, Anya discovered something extraordinary, a towering spire rising from the seafloor, its surface adorned with intricate carvings that shimmered in the water. The spire seemed to glow with the energy of countless crystals, its presence both majestic and humbling. Anya and her team called it the Beacon, a name that symbolized its role as a guiding light for all who sought harmony with the ocean. The beacon became a focal point for the Guardians, a place where people gathered to share stories, exchange knowledge, and renew their commitment to the ocean's protection. The shards and crystals seemed to respond to their presence, glowing brighter and resonating more deeply with each act of care and unity. As the years passed, the beacon became a global symbol of hope, inspiring people to protect the ocean and the planet. Anya's story, like Luca's before her, became a legend, passed down through generations as a reminder of the boundless possibilities that arise when humanity listens to the whispers of the earth. The ocean, eternal and ever-changing, carried Anya's legacy to distant shores, her name etched into the tides alongside Luca's. Together, their stories formed a timeless song, a melody of unity, resilience, and wonder that resonated in the hearts of all who dared to dream of a brighter future. As Anya's influence grew and the beacon became a global hub of unity, the Guardians of the Deep began to unlock the full potential of the crystals and shards. The vibrations within them revealed increasingly complex patterns of energy and knowledge. These patterns were not merely ancient messages, they were tools for understanding how life interconnected across the planet. In one of her most ambitious undertakings, Anya led a joint mission with scientists, engineers, and conservationists to develop a new technology inspired by the crystals. This innovation, called harmonic arrays, used the crystal's unique resonance to monitor and heal damaged ecosystems. The arrays were designed to amplify the ocean's natural rhythms, restoring coral reefs, balancing water temperatures, and even counteracting areas of pollution. The unveiling of the harmonic arrays marked a turning point for the Guardians. They placed these devices in strategic locations around the world, transforming dying waters into thriving sanctuaries. Entire ecosystems began to recover, and even species on the brink of extinction returned to their habitats. The arrays became a symbol of hope, showing what was possible when humanity worked in harmony with nature's design. But Anya's journey wasn't just about technology, it was about people. She traveled to communities most affected by environmental challenges, empowering them with tools and knowledge to protect their local ecosystems. She listened to their stories, learning from their resilience and wisdom. In these moments, Anya understood that the Guardian's mission was as much about building relationships as it was about preserving the environment. One day, while visiting a coastal village, Anya met a boy named Kieran, who reminded her of herself as a child, curious, eager, and deeply connected to the sea. Kieran spoke of visions he had while swimming, dreams filled with light and patterns that mirrored the crystal's energy. Anya recognized his potential and welcomed him into the Guardians, mentoring him as Luca had once done for her. With Kieran's fresh perspective and innate connection to the ocean, the Guardians began to unlock even deeper secrets within the crystals. They discovered that the patterns held not just lessons from the past, but glimpses of possible futures, scenarios shaped by the choices humanity made today. These revelations strengthened the Guardians' resolve, igniting a global movement to embrace sustainability and unity. As the years passed, Anya watched with pride as the next generation, led by Kieran and others like him, carried the Guardians' mission forward. The harmonic arrays became a common sight in oceans, rivers, and even on land, their gentle hum a reminder of the balance that was possible when humanity listened to nature's song. And though the crystals and shards held infinite mysteries, their greatest gift was the understanding that the journey was never about reaching a final destination. It was about continuous learning, adaptation, and the shared responsibility of all life on Earth. Anya's story became interwoven with Luca's, their names etched into the hearts of all who listened to the ocean's whispers. The ocean, boundless and timeless, carried their legacy across the waves, reminding the world that hope was not just a fleeting dream, it was a choice, renewed with every act of care and every story shared. Kieran stepped confidently into his role, a young leader full of promise and deeply attuned to the ocean's rhythms. Guided by Anya's mentorship and the wisdom imbued in the crystals and shards, he brought a unique energy to the Guardians of the Deep. His visions of interconnected ecosystems and flourishing marine sanctuaries became the driving force for a new wave of innovation. One day, while exploring the shimmering waters around the beacon, Kieran noticed subtle changes in the patterns of energy emitted by the surrounding crystals. The vibrations seemed to ripple outward, as though calling him to a distant location. Trusting his instincts, he gathered a team and followed the clues across the open sea. After weeks of travel, they reached a place entirely unique, a sea where the colors shifted unpredictably, and the waves danced in surreal, spiraling motions. At its center lay a luminous vortex, glowing with soft, multicolored light. Kieran and his team approached cautiously, their hearts racing with curiosity and wonder. When they entered the vortex, they found themselves in an underwater realm unlike any other. The environment shimmered with patterns that mirrored those of the crystals, but here, the energy was more vibrant and dynamic. Schools of fish moved in perfect harmony, their motion forming intricate shapes in the water. The flora pulsed with light, and the air carried a melody so soothing it felt like a lullaby for the soul. At the heart of this realm was a structure, a glowing spiral of crystal and stone that seemed to be alive, resonating with a rhythm that was both ancient and new. Kieran realized this was an extension of the beacon, a hidden sanctuary designed by the ocean itself to protect its most precious secrets. Inside the structure, Kieran found a smaller shard, encased in translucent coral. When he touched it, the energy within surged into his mind, showing him visions of endless possibility. The shard revealed the blueprint of a world where balance wasn't just restored, it thrived beyond imagination. It was an ecosystem where humanity and nature worked as one, supporting and amplifying each other's strengths. With this newfound wisdom, Kieran led the Guardians into an era of bold creativity. They began designing floating cities that were entirely self-sustaining, powered by the crystal's harmonious energy. These cities served as hubs for research, education, and conservation, blending seamlessly into the marine environment without disrupting its natural beauty. The Guardians' influence spread farther than ever before, inspiring new movements on land and sea. People came together to plant forests, restore rivers, and protect endangered wildlife, understanding that the health of the ocean was tied to every part of the planet. The Guardians helped bridge the gap between science, art, and community, fostering a world where innovation and harmony went hand in hand. As Kieran stood at the center of this remarkable transformation, he knew the journey was far from over. The ocean, boundless and eternal, still held secrets waiting to be discovered. But with every ripple, every shard, and every story shared, humanity moved closer to the harmony it had once dreamed of. And so, the legacy of Luca, Anya, and Kieran continued, a timeless tale carried by the waves, inspiring generations to listen, to act, and to dream of a future where the whispers of the ocean could be heard by all. As Kieran's leadership flourished, the Guardians of the Deep became an integral part of everyday life across the globe. Communities saw the impact of their collective work, not just in the seas but in the sky, on the land, and in their homes. The ocean's song of unity and balance resonated through every decision, reminding people of their shared responsibility. One day, while leading an expedition near the beacon, Kieran noticed an unusual shift in the crystal vibrations. The patterns, once harmonious and fluid, now carried subtle dissonance. It was as if the ocean was reaching out, alerting him to an unseen imbalance. Intrigued and concerned, Kieran dove deeper into the mystery. Guided by the shard's energy, Kieran and his team journeyed farther than ever before, venturing into a remote stretch of ocean beyond the known charts. The waters grew darker, and the current stronger, as if guarding something hidden. But the shards pulsed with determination, urging them forward. After days of navigating these uncharted depths, they discovered a submerged chasm, an abyss unlike any they had encountered. From its depths rose faint glimmers of light, the vibrations emanating in waves that reverberated through the water. Kieran realized this was the source of the disturbance. As they descended into the chasm, they found a vast expanse of crystalline structures, larger than any they had seen before. But these crystals were different. Some were fractured, their light dimmed, while others pulsed erratically, as though struggling to maintain balance. The team worked carefully, analyzing the structures and recording their findings. It became clear that this network of crystals was vital to the ocean's stability, serving as a kind of anchor for its energy. Through their study, Kieran and the Guardians discovered that the fractures were caused by human activity, deep-sea mining, underwater drilling, and pollution that had spread unnoticed to the farthest reaches of the ocean. The crystals, sensitive to the ocean's health, reflected this damage in their patterns. This revelation sparked a renewed urgency among the Guardians. Kieran led a global campaign to address the root causes of the damage, rallying governments, industries, and communities to rethink their relationship with the deep sea. The Guardian's message was clear: the ocean's depths were not an untapped resource to be exploited, but a fragile and vital foundation for life on Earth. As efforts to repair the damage began, the crystals in the chasm responded. The fractured structures began to mend, their light regaining its brilliance. The vibrations grew stronger and more harmonious, signaling the ocean's gradual recovery. It was a powerful reminder of humanity's ability to heal, not just harm, when guided by wisdom and care. This experience deepened Kieran's resolve and the Guardian's mission. They expanded their focus to include the unseen corners of the world, working to protect what many had overlooked. The chasm, now called the ocean's heart, became a symbol of resilience, its story inspiring people to look beyond the surface and care for the hidden wonders that sustain the planet. As Kieran stood once more at the beacon, the crystals glowing warmly around him, he felt a profound sense of hope. The journey was far from over, but the progress they had made proved that unity and action could achieve the extraordinary. The ocean's song, eternal and ever-changing, carried the promise of a brighter future, one ripple at a time. With the ocean's heart restored and the guardians of the deep thriving, Kieran knew the tides of change had truly begun. The once hidden truths of the ocean had inspired humanity to see itself as a steward of the earth, not its conqueror. The harmony they had long sought was no longer just a dream, it was becoming reality. The guardians continued to protect and nurture the balance they had worked so hard to achieve. Coastal villages flourished with life, vibrant reefs stretched across the seas, and the crystal networks glowed with a renewed energy, a symbol of unity between humanity and nature. As years turned to decades, Kieran's story became woven into the vast tapestry of the Guardian's history. His name joined those of Luca and Anya, each one a chapter in the eternal tale of discovery, resilience, and hope. And though the shards, pearls, and crystals held mysteries still waiting to be uncovered, the ocean's whispers carried a single, enduring message: every act of care, no matter how small, ripples outward to create a better world. In the end, it was not the pearls, shards, or crystals that mattered most, but the people, the guardians, and those who listened to the call of the tides. The ocean's song grew louder, spreading its melody across shores and hearts alike, a timeless reminder that even amidst the greatest challenges, the strength of unity and the power of hope would always prevail. The ocean, eternal and boundless, carried their stories across the world. And so, the legacy of the Guardians of the Deep continued, a light that would never fade, inspiring all who listened to the whispers of the waves. Thank you for being a part of Calm Cloud Chronicles. What kind of stories help you relax the most? Please let us know in comments below. If you enjoyed this story, let us know by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Until next time, stay peaceful and keep dreaming.